Alright folks, welcome back. We're going to hop directly into the map as this is the start of a best of 3. Some TvT action. We've had a couple of resubs though that we've missed and I really want to go over. First one goes out to Riamar, guys. He's got some stuff going on in real life, but he's one of the nicest people I know, so I want to give him a little bit of extra love. That's just over 2 years as he gets us up with a 25-month resub. No idea why Scumbag Twitch Alerts isn't detecting it, but Riamar, please know that Senpai has noticed. We also had CK Walsh hit us up with a 6-month resub, Squishling with a 2-month resub, and Hoofit1 with 19 months. There's that obnoxious clapping, am I right?
So self-aware now.
I know. This is like when I learned, like when I was smacking my lips, like I had to cut that out of casting so early, so quick. I was like, nope. But anyways, we got players to introduce, and in the bottom left, but not entirely in the bottom left, it is going to be the purple Terran player, Lillekanin.
In the bottom right, as the Green Terran, it's Invasion Esports AqueroN.
Now the quick thing to discuss really quick is people have been asking about the hair dyeing thing. So Zombie Grub graciously and somewhat undeterminedly has been trying to pick how to choose her hair color. And well, because I had to suffer through my mustache thing, she decided to let herself suffer through the hair dye of stream. So you guys can pick over the next couple of, I guess it really is barely under 2 weeks till we leave till Texas, what color you want her to dye her hair. The winning value, the highest amount donated towards that particular color, will be the choice at the end of the day. The more money raised means we can possibly just take her to a proper salon. If not, we'll just bathroom sync it up. But yeah, so the options I think were like blue, black, pink, red, blonde, and white.
So, I really don't know what I'm gonna look like.
Anyway, either way, we'll talk about that more after the game's complete, because this has been scouted. This is kind of a big deal. The Reaper's gonna pop out and keep the SCV alive, so that's not too bad, but proxying 2 buildings like this immediately tells AqueroN, like, okay, you know what, man, maybe I need a bunker. Because the nice thing about Ruins of Endion, this is the only way into the main. If this is like Frozen Temple or any other map, you're worried about Reapers coming in the back door, Hellions at the front. Like, you don't know where the attack actually comes from.
Wow, very bold of this. Oh no, that was his Reaper, never mind. Yeah, Lillekanin is waiting on more reinforcements before trying to break the main. And, I mean, that should be enough time, you know? Like, AqueroN went for basically the same build, and that's unfortunate for Lillekanin, who was probably hoping to find someone who went a little bit greedy and planning on breaking down the rocks and playing a macro game. But
Hellion's going to be a big advantage here. Grenade hits are also a big deal, but unfortunately Lillekanin starts this fight a little bit behind, and this could be game over right here, actually. It's disappointing as it is to hear.
Yeah. This really had to be against someone who did any other build, mind you, like anything else. You know, you went for a reactor on your racks or your factory. You went for like a command center at any time. And Lillekanin's proxy is suddenly like almost devastating or truly devastating, depending on what you did. But I mean, AqueroN, he scouted. He likes going for one base builds anyway.
This is interesting. AqueroN, I think, thought this was going to be a Liberator, by the way, not a Medevac.
So, Medevac to pick
elevator
up one
over the
unit.
Wall. Well,
yeah, but I'm just like,
I know, now it's too late at this point, obviously.
This is not going to work, and I think what's funny though is that because they are going for the same stuff, like I could see a macro game possibly happening. It'd just be a question of how does Lillekanin get his units back on his side of the field.
Yeah, or his buildings for production.
He'd lose so much production that AqueroN would definitely still win, but that is probably his better bet than continuing to make units and then have them get killed.
This is definitely a game. Smelly Pickle 3 says we missed her resub, but I'm terribly sorry. I didn't mean to, so thank you for the resub, Smelly Pickle. Thank you for being tweeting at us all the time as well.
We had a real resub train that's been happening, so...
It's like a personal train. Like, you know when rich people have, like, a personal jet? This is kind of like Riamar's personal train. As he resubs on like 4 or 5 different accounts. So I'm just gonna like blanketly thank Riamar like 2 through 5.
Yeah.
And I have a Joseph Chiv as well for 6 months. And if we ever miss your subs, guys, like Smelly Pickles here, please know it's not on purpose. Sometimes Twitch Source just doesn't show the name. Like when we showed on stream earlier, like for whatever reason, Riamar, despite subbing for 25 months, name doesn't show up. We don't know why. So
but thank you to Angry Koala and Mole SG as well.
Dang, did I miss even more? Jesus.
Yeah, they're in between the Riamars, so.
Okay. Stupid Ryomar ruined it for the rest of everyone else.
Anyway, we do have Lillekanin attempting to go into a macro game, and this Liberator is doing a good enough job.
Right, he's kind of holding, but the problem the Vikings will break it. I mean, the SCVs for carrying this earlier were kind of hyped, but that Liberator is the only thing keeping that ramp safe. With that going down, that's, I don't know, probably going to be game.
Yeah, it makes sense, you know, considering what happened here, but... I guess Lillekanin was like maybe even faked out pulling his buildings back because he just planted them elsewhere.
None of the Vikings was gonna get them killed if they had stayed there, which is kind of funny to see. This one Reaper, by the way, has been doing great work, but that's mostly to the benefit of the medevac and those SCVs pulled with it. So the Cyclone comes, and I don't know how many times I can say, well, it's probably over now, but this is one of the great things about watching Lillekanin.
Now?
Like, okay, the game's over, but how many other people make these situations look like actual potential comeback scenarios, right? Like, look, he's gonna kill the Vikings.
The Cyclone doesn't have to die. There you go.
Well, it doesn't have to die, but
you can run, buddy. That's what you're made for. The good news is that it's a best of 3. GG.
GG. His tactics may not have worked in this first game, but maybe they will in the next.
Yeah.
In this life for the next. Anyways, as you guys can see, going back to the hair salon thing for a moment, we got $5 in pink, $2 on white as the only ones selected so far. I'm kind of hoping someone comes in the last second. It's like, oh, Zombie Grub's like, you're really excited about going blonde, and then boom, like blue gets picked, $100. Like,
I'm getting used to the idea of being a blonde, and I'm like, you know, yeah, like I used to be blonde, I was really young, and now I can look like my mom, and oh, bam, blue.
Yeah.
Oh well. I'm ready.
Brackets are swimming along nicely, though, in all other aspects. We don't have any one matchup that's really far behind, which is good to see. The winner of this will go on to fight against a Laser, so that'll be a TvZ. A little bit sad to see Beastie fall, but a Laser is such a powerful player. At this rate, though, this side of the bracket might turn into a ZVZ. So on the other side, I'm going to be cheering for, you know, I can TLO Zerg, but also Night Ender Keen. Because if I have to watch ZVZ, I'd rather do it. I would not mind if it was TLO. Like, he makes ZVZ fun.
This really is going quite swimmingly.
Alright, we're going to get into Arena in a moment. Again, for the Corsair Cup, sponsored by Corsair. Zombie and I are both using a bunch of Corsair gear. I temporarily am not using a Corsair keyboard, and I got to figure out, like, I'm about to give up on trying to repair this thing. I might just have to go buy a new one. I actually do like the keyboards enough that I would go buy a new one, but I'm currently going back to my old, like, WASD keyboard that I bought to support Axiom, like, 3 years ago. Anyways, Arena, we'll see you guys soon. Alright, ladies and gentlemen. Alright, folks, welcome back. Game number 2 for the Corsair Cup underway. In the bottom left side, he's down 1 in this series. It is going to be Lillekanin.
In the top left, as the Green Terran, it is AqueroN. Come on.
So, I believe Red Bloods announced, I want to say recently, but it wasn't that recent actually, that they were going to have to disband the team. The financial backing disappeared for it, which is a bit of a bummer, because it was the team Lillekanin was on and part of. He'd actually come to me asking about BaseTradeTV sponsoring a team, and yo, this there's this misconception that we have a lot of money, because I would love to sponsor a team or do something like that. Like, we've talked about that so many times in the past. We almost tried to pick up Journey and just forego any of our own personal benefit for a while back in like 2014, 15. But yeah, it kind of sucks that it ends up being the landscape right now, where some people are getting a bit desperate for money. I think one of the hardest things I would have to justify, though, is, like, let's say it was something low, because Lillekanin wasn't even asking that much. I think they were saying like €80 a month or something for, like, salary. But even if that was the case, and it'd be cool to have a player like that, and we love casting people like Lillekanin, like, always puts a smile on my face, even when he loses. Funny, weird builds are always nice to see. I don't see what benefit we would get by having a player at a tournament with our name on it, right? Like, you go to what is it? He's Danish, a Danish LAN with like a BaseTradeTV jersey on, and people are like, "Well, yeah, we know who BaseTradeTV is. Why aren't they casting this?" Like, I feel like it's the only thing that would come of it. Like,
yeah, I agree. There is no benefit, other than the fact that it's like something really cool. Like, maybe if I had like a huge team, even then, I don't know.
You could like crack that whip, Zombie. Turn Lillekanin into like the best foreign player of all time.
It would just be cool points, you know, like. get jerseys for our team, and to go up to him and be like, hey, like, yeah, do better.
I mean, for
Cha.
full disclosure here, guys. By the way, thank you, MePop13 for resubbing. Full disclosure here, guys. Like, if we could, I would, but right now, it's like a question mark for trying to pay myself, Zombie Grub, and Fear Dragon, much less bring on somebody who's not part of the income train. Because, like, again, Lillekanin would just be like, or anybody. Sorry, I keep saying him because it sounds like we're making fun of him or something. But like, any player that we tried to pick up would just be, unfortunately, a cost that we couldn't necessarily afford. Unlike most Americans that I know, actually, because a lot of these guys, a lot of friends I have are pretty obsessed with being in debt for whatever reason. Like, I'm not interested in heading that direction financially.
Yeah, I know a lot of people like that. I don't. Well, anyway, this game has gone, I guess, as you would expect, pretty much for all arena TvT. I mean, both doing one base build, something that includes a medevac as well, because it's this airspace in the middle. You're gonna try and get the most damage done, even if that means maybe taking damage yourself. But what's interesting is that you do have differences in the actual units. So we have a Cyclone coming out from AqueroN, but for Lillekanin, he did just go for the add-on, I guess, a little bit later on his factory, and the command center a little bit earlier. So this is actually just going to be a tank push, with the Cyclone left at home to defend against the medevac push he was anticipating from Lillekanin.
Top of the ramps would be pretty hard to hold without your own tank, though, and at the end of the day, that much doesn't change. He's got one producing now, but if the depot breaks, this becomes problems. He is kind of hoping, though, that AqueroN is going to be bringing so much to the front lines that he won't have anything at home. And a Cyclone might not necessarily deal with his drop, which is a bit odd to consider. He'll use the lock-on the medevac. Medevac should have been able to fly away, but he tried to pick up the Hellions instead to keep them safe from the SCVs. The surround hurting AqueroN, certainly, but not enough for this to be too devastating.
Wow, I mean, 15 workers is pretty bad.
It is, but can he break Lillekanin at home?
Yeah. Well, that is the main question, but with a Viking and a tank now, and in fact pushing into the tank,
that
too.
Viking's huge, actually. Keeping that medevac out from dropping the Marines directly on top of the tank.
But, AqueroN, he just had the Viking defense, and now he brings it over, and it has more health, so it wins the air war. He'll win that. Barely doesn't kill it. That's actually pretty big. Yeah, because that could just be repaired, of course.
The command center finishing for Lillekanin too was a little bit unexpected, but he does, like, I thought maybe he'd cancel some sort of extra barracks or something, but the Cyclones are scary. The tanks are scarier because they can be dropped and maneuvered, but if Lillekanin can get a decent bit of air control, he can certainly reassert control of this situation. He's only lost, like, think of what he's lost so far, right? His depots and a reactor. Like, this hasn't actually been anything too bad just yet. And in fact, now he'll win the air war if the Cyclone and the Marines don't get involved. Does snipe off that Viking, not too bad. And the damage he did to AqueroN certainly has not been fully repaired yet. In fact, AqueroN had to pull off for that second gas. He's not even fully saturated on one. Not sure if he's realized this, so his starport can't continue to produce units. He doesn't have the gas for it. So as weird as this is, and it's as janky as it looks, Lillekanin is actually much better positionally. Yeah,
well, Lillekanin, as long as he can actually push forward and get the command center down, then he's going to be in a much, much better position. And honestly, like, I can see why AqueroN wants to hold off for as long as possible, but it is getting to that point where, like, it's starting to get scary. Like, you don't have a lot of scans being on one base, and once Lillekanin really does win that air war, then you're going to have one scan, and then the high ground's going to be a big problem. So I like that he's keeping everything on siege. He can leave at a moment's notice if Lillekanin gets too much going for him. Maybe once he does pull entirely away, he could start dropping the main again as the Vikings are a little distracted. But no, he goes for a break of his own. His first tank gets targeted, goes down. There was a nice concave against only 3 tanks, but, I mean, 3 tanks do have a lot of damage, and he did just run out of the high ground vision there.
Nice pick up the last second. Keeps that thing alive for one more shot, which is really good. It's going to go down, however. That first tank falls. AqueroN's going to be the one to tap out, though, because that was everything for him. And that's going to tie up the series 1-1. Now we are going to go to a small commercial break before we hop into Game 3 of this series, so don't go anywhere, folks. We'll see you in 2 minutes. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Game number 3 for the Corsair Cup, ready to go. It is a tied up 1 apiece between these two fantastic Terrans. And in the upper left side of Frozen Temple, it's going to be the green Terran player, AqueroN.
In the bottom right, as the purple Terran, it's Lillekanin.
So, We're just gonna follow up on a point I made during the break to Zombie Grub.
Uh-huh.
Not that this is something I expect anyone to do, and I don't want anyone to misinterpret this and say this is something I want you to do. But I thought a kind of cool idea would be, you've got a lot of these players who are kind of in a state of flux. They can't find teams, they're on a team, then they're off a team like 2 months later. Like, there are some we'll call them free agents in StarCraft 2. And I think what would be really cool is, like, if you had somebody specifically create a limited time contract with one of these players. So, like, for example, again, Lillekanin, I think it was only asking for like €80 a month or something like that, right? You take somebody who's got a couple of bucks to spare for the month, one of the more generous people donate to BaseTradeTV or otherwise, and you sign like a 3-month contract with this guy. And then during that 3 months, you relentlessly make him fight in like show matches that we cast, like some sort of gladiator pit style thing where like every weekend they're playing no matter what, taking the Corsair Cups or something. Like, I think stuff like that is actually a really fun idea for if enough people could do it for some of these free agents. Like, if 1 or 2 people did it, obviously it's not that interesting or that big of a deal, but I just think that'd be something really cool where the players would get more exposure, they get to play more games on a stream, they'd obviously get some money when otherwise they wouldn't. Because, like, right now, for example, Lillekanin's hoping that whatever he wins from the Corsair Cup, whatever he gets from donations on his own stream, like, that is his primary source of income, I presume. I'm not saying that's the case, but again, it would be kind of cool to see something like a scenario like that arise. You know what I mean?
I know what you mean. It'd be like the gladiator pits, just having flashbacks of Spartacus and bringing honor to your doctore.
Oh man, I don't think Lillekanin's got the 6-pack for that though.
Well, we have something pretty important going on, and that is a 3-rack Reaper from AqueroN. So, Lillekanin, though, he's already gone for like a 1-base build. It's interesting to see AqueroN like just stack his units, though.
Right. So one of the things that really makes 3-rack Reaper strong is either A, you having the wrong build for it, or B, they hit it at a time you don't expect. Hence the proxy version of it. With a Hellion and a Reaper sitting at the top of this ramp, there's no other hills and cliff sides to really get up and around. So as AqueroN surprises Lillekanin with like maybe 7 or 9 Reapers, I mean, 1 grenade of his own, a couple Hellion blasts, and he's in a good spot. I guess getting spooked by this does decide to fall back to his main, which I would argue is harder to defend than that ramp, but he might have more units for it.
Receiving incoming transmission.
Okay. Well, 5 Reapers get in here, and with a nice concave on these Hellions, and of course grenades going down, that could really help. And all those grenades actually did help. The flying Hellion got killed in the air, but I mean, the Reapers of Lillekanin also, like, same deal. They helped.
Yeah.
They do get a little too far forward, though. Nice pickup.
Yeah, Medevac can also pick up the Hellions should get a little bit too hot over here, but the problem with this that resounds significantly for AqueroN was Lillekanin first off recognized that this is going to be a 1-base all-in, so he throws in his command center much sooner than his opponent. Cool, thumbs up. Secondly, AqueroN's factory completely shut down timing-wise. I mean, he's not even building, he's going for more barracks. He's just going to like continue the pressure. Because the problem is, like, when you go for these Reapers, that gas you eat up eats into your tech path. So you're going to have a later factory, later starport, later everything.
Yeah. I mean, it is... you don't just macro out of a 3-rack Reaper. Like, definitely a 1-rack proxy you can macro out of.
Even macro out.
Yeah, even like a 2-rack Reaper can be macroed out of. But like a 3-rack is just, it's so dedicated. Which almost like why not just proxy it? But
this is a really important scout Lillekanin's getting though, because he sees that there's not going to be that factory, there's no starport. If it's just Marines or just Reapers, that Liberator could actually go ham on that Mineral Lion.
Well, why even bother? The Reapers are chasing. But the Liberator is going to be a huge problem. I mean, just in general, the macro in this game is going to be a problem for AqueroN. But his command center is almost done, and he's not just producing nothing but Reapers, which looked funny, but it is going into Marines, so he's going to have some anti-air. And he's not doing a terrible job macroing out of this. In fact, he's up 2 SCVs. This medevac isn't doing anything.
Ooh, these Reapers going to have a bad time running up this cliff, though. That's a lot of Marines waiting for him. Now, they're going to have some grenades to throw, but... okay, well, I take that back. Marines are fragile, flimsy units, apparently.
Blood everywhere, Jesus.
Yeah, but that tank's set up to go, so it's not too bad. Now, really quick, we're going to give a shout out to Celevic for the Celevic 7 for the 3-month resub. And then Seichis donates $5.66 and says, Scarlet Hair, more duck. Now, Scarlet's hair is a combination black and red, so I'm assuming that this donation goes towards red, but I'm hoping Seichis can clarify this for us in chat. In the meantime, I need to mute myself for a sec, so on you.
Oh, okay. Oh, but not to me, so I'm confused. Stim is on the way for AqueroN, but not for Lillekanin, which, I mean, isn't too surprising, considering that Lillekanin usually does go from mech, but he hasn't actually chosen yet. He's still just producing from the same 3 buildings that he has been, as well as getting a 3rd command center, which is obviously very different than what AqueroN is doing. Looks like the Hellions were actually dropped in that main base, by the way. The SCVs were pulled, and I think like one Marine died. Or they think the Liberator actually was cleaning everything up. That's what happened. My bad.
Trying to hop through the main one more time. Does get kind of shut down by the tanks. The Marines somewhat not too relevant. Lillekanin is going for mech.
There you go. Yeah. The confirmation with 3 factories slapped down. So it's a very interesting game that, you know, it's still, I feel like, in favor of Lillekanin. He had the better chance to macro out of this, you know, like his commands been coming down obviously a lot sooner. All he has to do is weather the storm, which isn't going to be a very powerful storm from AqueroN, and he should be able to get to the scary mech point, which is, you know, basically after 150 and obviously more towards maxed out, because that's still a very good army. There's nothing changed about that, except maybe if you can get Liberators. These double tank drops, these units do have stim, so you can just be careful not to send his Medivacs too far forward. Yeah.
So it's a little bit scary if you don't have boost either, but does manage to barely get out of there, so could have been worse. Now, let's talk about the dynamic of mech for a moment. First off, I think this is a great response to seeing the like 5 whatever barracks, but more importantly, the later tech of his opponent. That's also a big part of why these tanks are getting away with as much as they currently are. But one of the biggest issues in fighting mech that still resounds heavily today, and we've talked about this in the previous series, was you don't really want Marines for it. Marines are not the answer to Hellbats. Marines are not the answer to tanks. And unfortunately, when you play Bio into this, when you're behind, chances are you're not going to have a bunch of units that will be able to contest this at all.
Yeah. The most expensive thing you can get, besides tanks, which AqueroN is not getting, would be those Marauders, and just, it's not that he can't afford them, it's just that it's so much, you know, easier to just go for mass Marines, especially if your opponent was going for Marine tank. The tank count would be decent, but not super high, and a good concave of more Marines might have won him a good battle, but against a mech player, I don't know about that. You can still outmaneuver the mech player, though. Like, Lillekanin is not so much in the money that he has missile turrets everywhere, but he does have units appropriately set up for drop defense, so, I mean, Lillekanin knows how to play mech.
So I need to correct something. Oh,
that was really funny.
I need to correct something I said earlier. Whereas at Say Cheese, we keep an eye out for your response in chat, but unfortunately, chat's being flooded by a bunch of shit posting, guys. So that's a bit of a problem for me. I don't know how to figure this out now. So we'll just assume it's red for the time being, unless we hear otherwise. And then Nooney has resubbed us for 19 months. Thank you very much. Now, I guess one of the advantages to going Mass Marine is you're going to have a lot of supply. I mean, they got Stim, they got combat shields. There's a lot of units in play, but I mean, Lillekanin only needs to hold on for a few more minutes, get that extra tank out. He's got Hellions, Blue Flame finishes soon. I mean, he even pulls back off that 3rd, taking no real risks.
I really like that. He possibly could have lost it just to a Stim in and snipe, but, you know, it looked tempting because there wasn't really that many tanks. The Hellions were on the ground, but it was still tanks and Hellions, and just even Mass Marine with the concave, you can only stand up to so much. They're, of course, upgradeless, no armor to help them out, and it's... all they have is mobility on their side, which, I mean, if he was a little bit sneakier, you know, maybe if he had gone off to the left, he would have been able to snipe a 3rd base. But even then, Lillekanin's army is just, it's too good against what AqueroN is getting. Now, AqueroN actually goes for more barracks as opposed to a 3rd CC. He's not going to try and play this out. He's going to continue to try and get an army. Oh, nope, he was just banking a lot of money, never mind. He does go for a 3rd CC as well. But regardless of his choice, whether it was like all in on the attack or actually trying to expand, you're not getting a lot of damage done to a mech player. And you're running out of that time where mech is not as good as it was in the past. Like, they're going to get to that huge supply, and you're just going to have like an inferior army, and not just because it's pure Marine, just because mech armies maxed out are still very good.
This drop in the main ends up being pretty good initially. Lillekanin's got to micro these tanks back to keep them alive, but doesn't lose too many SCVs for it. Vikings almost kill the Medivacs, but don't even. In the meantime, I'm surprised we don't have Hellbats in play. I guess the Hellions have been better for hit and run. Lillekanin's not really set himself up for a push with tanks behind it, so just constantly trying to do as much like in and out tactics, I guess, is possible. You get in with the Hellions, shoot and get out. Sounds a little bit more sexual than it needed to, but that clarification hopefully made it not such the case. It made it boring and about StarCraft.
Another problem about trying to macro here for AqueroN is that he hasn't started any upgrades. In fact, doesn't even have an engineering bay to do so. So you do have Lillekanin with double armory, is about to have his 1-1. He's now getting on top of this choke, giving less room for AqueroN to maneuver. Then he takes the fight, but that's Blue Flame Hellions, so...
Yeah, I mean, the Vikings at this point can be landed. They're very much prioritizing these medevacs, knowing how important they are to keep that bio alive. I mean, I think a lot of people forget because there's like balance complaints, blah, 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 but Marines aren't good without medevacs. Like, Marines are great units when paired up with medevacs, but without them, not the case. So these Vikings just gonna kill everything. Now, luckily, thanks to my eagle eyes, I was able to identify. Seichi says that this person identifies Scarlet's hair as pink, so that donation is actually going towards pink.
Questionable, but okay. I'm fine with that. Whatever.
I don't really see Scarlet's hair as pink, but
that's
I guess
why I said questionable.
if that's the color they'd want, that's the color they'll get.
Yeah, unless you changed it recently, I don't know.
By the way, I just want to let you guys know, this copy paste is legit my worst nightmare. Zombie's heard me complain about this for like years working together, but like, did you actually think that you had 2,000 plus viewers? No, that was all me. I'll take this on my other accounts to prove it. Like, this is literally my nightmare. I know you guys are making jokes, but I hate you so much for it. Like, there's shit posting, and then there's like Rifkin's nightmare shit posting, and that's what's happening right now.
Thanks to everyone who brought that up. I don't know who started it, but congratulations.
Alright, Hellions start running around the map. We got some Blue Flame Hellbats loaded up, ready to go for some drops. But I gotta say, like, Lillekanin, he thwarted the build. Like, I mean, let's do a quick recap of things that have happened, because it's been a little bit weird getting here, right? Like, there's the 3-Rax Reaper build, he thwarted it. It was awkward, didn't look like it was gonna happen, but it did. Now he's followed this up with Mech, which is an unconventional style in TvT. Hasn't worked in most situations, and especially at the toppest tier of gameplay. But he's in a spot where he's got upgrades in his favor. He's about to have 2-2 over the 0-0 of his opponent. His SCV count is supreme. He's on 3 bases. I mean, everything is all aces for Lillekanin.
Yeah. Well, this game is very slowly going on, but it is going on in Lillekanin's favor. I mean, I think the one hope for AqueroN here is to also get maxed out, which is a big problem as he's mined out of his main, and is having such a tough time getting above like 120 supply, much just to max out. But if he could get to maxed out, he could start just really playing bio to its strength, you know, and keeping Lillekanin off of, I guess, what would be probably a 5th and 6th base. I assume Lillekanin was going to get to a 4th, but that's okay. He just runs his army in here. Cool idea with the medevacs to drop as well, but it was mistimed. It wasn't enough units, and that is game.
That's too many tanks. I think he's hoping the friendly fire would have done a lot more than it did, but GG's. Lillekanin will advance in the series and move on to fight against a laser in the brackets. So I gotta go add that $5 to pink. That actually already skyrockets pink ahead to 10. People like saw that Natalie Portman movie one time and it was like, damn, Zombie Grub would look sexy as a pink-haired stripper.
Wait, what Natalie Portman movie is this?
Oh, have you not seen? Okay. Anyways, guys, we gotta go to a small break really quick. But yeah, Laser versus Lillekanin probably on deck for next. Alternatively, Keen versus Guru perhaps, but either way, we'll be back in a couple of minutes, and we'll see you soon.